Less than 100 years ago, thousands of rhinoceros thundered across Africa. Now, poaching and habitat loss have driven the species to the very brink of extinction, forcing unlikely heroes to make difficult decisions in an attempt to secure the future of this iconic animal. When people and animals collide, things are never simple. In this wildlife-human conflict, I'm often called in to seek out the truth, to find out what's really happening on the front lines, and identify the heroes who are making a difference. My name is Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator. I'm traveling through one of my favorite game reserves in Africa. These patches of protected wilderness are among the last places you can experience the great African wild, as it once was. I visit these parks as often as I can. Their diversity and their simple beauty take me back to another time and offer me a much-needed break from the human-wildlife conflict that now rages across this continent. And today, as I walk across the grounds in the early morning overcast, I'm lucky enough to get a good look at one of the most important species in the ecosystem.
There was a time not that long ago where vultures in an area would simply indicate that there'd been a predator. Unfortunately, in today's Africa, vultures often indicate something a lot more sinister.
Falling back on old habits, I move in to investigate.
Seems like they're on the ground in front of us over here. We've just got to be very, very careful because there could be predators nearby. So we're going to keep our eyes and our ears very well focused as we move into this area. I just see them coming off the ground.
There's a large animal down in the clearing up ahead. And it's an all too familiar sight. This is the work of poachers.
As I walk around this rhino, a rhino that was living and active just a couple of days ago, you realize that there's a lot more to this story than just a dead rhino.
To my trained eye, these wounds leave little doubt as to what happened here. A single shot to the spine, likely in the dead of night.
Fearful of firing another shot because of the anti-poaching teams, they just used their axe to disable this rhino. There's cuts on the front legs and there's cuts on the spine. Once he was sufficiently disabled to not be able to fight anymore, the first few cuts were more in his face than on his horn. They've chopped his eye, and you can see he was obviously moving as they started to chop his face off. And all he was trying to do is get away. And then finally they cut his horn off while he was still alive and started making their way towards the boundary. Right now as we speak, this is happening somewhere else. Sorry, old boy.
This rhino was not killed for its meat or its hide. These poachers were after only one thing: rhino horn. Prized on the Asian market for its alleged healing properties, rhino horn is the most expensive commodity on the planet, worth more by weight than cocaine, diamonds, or gold. Across Africa, a rhino is poached every 8 hours, and now, where rhino herds once roamed across the whole continent, the species stands on the brink of extinction. And nowhere are poachers striking harder than on the privately owned farms and ranches of South Africa's countryside. I'm here on one such property in South Africa's Eastern Cape region, responding to an urgent call for help from an old friend. Graham Richardson is one of the unsung heroes in the fight to save the white rhino.
Graham, how are you, man?
Hello, Art. When you first set foot on this property, there wasn't any rhino.
No. My parents lived here 85 years ago. When we started, we had 2 on the property, and we've now got 19. I think that's a major achievement just on its own. And it's been wonderful to watch them grow up. I've got pictures of all of them along the way, named all the calves, and I'm happy to say we did our bit in this part of the world to protect the rhino.
Unlike in North America, where all wildlife is managed by the government, here it's private landowners like Graham who shoulder most of the responsibility for the animals on their land.
I mean, it's years of work.
That's right. But poaching's increasing in this area, and the poachers are moving from the Kruger Park down into this area because it's an easy target. I can't give them the protection they need.
To adequately protect a property this size, Graham would have to fund a full-time security force, including vehicles, fence lines and surveillance, all out of his own pocket.
It's not a viable proposition anymore to keep rhino. So, what do you do?
Unwilling to watch his beloved herd fall under the poacher's axe, Graham needs a solution. I agree to help him find one and report back as soon as I can. My first stop will be the Zululand Rhino Reserve. Here, property manager and my close friend, Karen Holmes, is about to take one of the most extreme measures imaginable to secure the future of her rhino population. My name is Ivan Carter, and I've traveled to the Zululand Rhino Reserve in search of a solution to the rhino poaching epidemic that's sweeping across the country.
When you think of a chainsaw, you don't necessarily think of wildlife management, and to think that the situation has got so drastic that you're going to use a chainsaw to cut off a rhino's horn just to protect the species, that's some pretty drastic measures.
The plan is simple. With no horn on the rhino, there's no prize for the poacher. My good friend and property manager Karen Holmes tells me of her plight.
We've explored all the options that we have available to us to try and prevent us from losing more rhino, and this is the most cost-effective measure we can implement.
That's a huge decision to make.
No, absolutely, and I think it's going to be emotionally quite hard for us. I would rather say stuff it, we're going to fight, but I know that I'm going to attend the next crime scene tomorrow or the day after, and I'm going to think to myself, well, what if we dehorn these animals and they
This
would be
might have been
allowed?
avoided.
Exactly. We're here to protect rhino, and that's what we do.
Joining Karen and the team this morning is experienced wildlife vet Mike Toft. Mike will be tranquilizing the rhinos from the air. When the drugs have taken effect, he will move in to perform the operation. But locating the rhinos is step one.
Okay, we've got to get going. The chopper's going airborne, the trackers are on the rhino, and we've got to keep up right close behind them with the Land Cruiser.
Here on the ground, we're staying close behind the chopper. Operations of this scale take a great deal of teamwork and coordination.
As soon as that dart goes in, it's all action stations, because you've only got a certain amount of time and you've got a fairly lengthy and very delicate procedure.
The first rhinos are spotted, and the air team moves in to tranquilize them.
Chopper's very close over them. Looks like they're going to try and get a dart in the face.
We've darted one.
Okay, that dart's taking effect.
The chopper's landed, the vet's going to be getting out of the chopper, and this process is about to start. Grab the side, go that side of it.
Guys, let's get that rope on quick.
Getting a blindfold onto this 2,000-pound animal is critical to keeping it calm.
Careful.
Careful. Go.
We've got the rhino's eyes covered. Mike is on the ground here. He's going to stabilize the rhino. They're going to get in the right position, and this process is going to start.
The rhino is positioned upright and a tarp is laid out to catch every bit of its valuable horn.
Just putting these plugs in his ears because it just helps to limit the amount that he hears of this whole operation.
Like a human fingernail, rhino horn is made of keratin and has no nerve endings. Trimming it may be loud, but it's completely painless. The team completes the procedure with the utmost care for the animal, filing down the prized keratin until there's so little left that it's just not worth the risk for the poacher. Karen and her team will repeat this difficult process again and again throughout the day.
$24.
Removing the identity from this iconic animal
And then 40.
doesn't get easier for any one of us.
It's a tough deal, eh?
You know, I can't believe that it's come to this point. You know, after everything we've done to try and protect these animals, more feet on the ground, guard towers, whatever we can, eventually we've had to take the step.
Human greed, eh?
Human greed and money.
The procedure ends by spraying the newly trimmed horn with a solution of bug spray and antiseptic.
Every little step is for the welfare of this rhino.
And Mike applies the reversal drug, completely neutralizing the effects of the tranquilizer.
As I watch this newly dehorned mother and calf reunite and walk off into the bush, you realize that this is what modern day conservation takes. And we have a choice. Remove this and remove the threat to the rhinos. Or leave it on, probably at the peril of these particular individuals.
But smaller farm owners like Graham Richardson simply don't have the resources to dehorn their herds. So the question of how best to protect his 19 rhino persists, and my search continues. I'm Ivan Carter, and I'm exploring new ways to protect rhinos in the face of a growing poaching epidemic. After seeing the practice of dehorning at the Zululand Rhino Reserve, I'm still looking for affordable options for landowners like my friend Graham Richardson. So I've come here, to the largest privately owned rhino population in the world, where one man's vision is changing the entire landscape of rhino conservation.
Where in the world can you walk on a patch of ground, not just where there's hundreds of rhinos, but where there's hundreds of safe rhinos? What an incredible place. This is a model that could change Africa for the species.
And the visionary behind it is Mr. John Hume.
Why? I wish you could explain to me why we have done what we have done to the rhino. They are the species that least deserve to be persecuted, and they are the species being persecuted the most.
Unlike Graham, John has the budget to dehorn each of his 1,300 rhinos. And he employs a full-time security force, including surveillance, electrified fences, and helicopters. But Mr. Hume is doing a lot more than just protecting rhinos. He's also giving them a future.
My mission in life is to save them from extinction, but my passion in life is to breed 200 rhinos per year. Wow. We've just finished a year now where I bred 138, and in 2 years' time I hope to hit the 200-a-year mark. Ivan, I'd like you to see what we do here. Every single day, every camp master roll calls every single one of his rhinos.
Who would you say is your top guy?
I would suggest you go with Tamuka, and you'll soon learn that he knows his rhinos very, very well. That one is one called Goliath.
Goliath.
Yeah. Look how tall he is. He's over 2 meters at the shoulder.
But you've got hundreds of rhinos. How do you know that one?
Tamuka taught me.
The next morning, I'm up early to meet this fabled campmaster.
We're just arriving to meet Tamuka. He's agreed to take me around his camp and show me his rhinos. These guys truly are the pillar of this operation. These are the guys that monitor the rhinos every single day. Here he is right here. Morning, Tamuk.
Hello, sir.
Mamuka ere?
Sharp.
Basi rufamba.
Yeah, good farm.
How's your rhinos today?
They are enjoying the weather, sir. They are fine.
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Good.
How are you?
So, Tamuk, can we come and see your rhinos?
Yeah. My work here at the farm is to keep an eye on each and every rhino. Every day, from 7, I must be in this camp. And I can say I know everything about these rhinos. 3/4 of my time I spend with them. These are my friends.
Out in the rhino fields, I put Tamuka's knowledge to the test.
This rhino is number 15.
You know that because of how he walks?
Because its appearance, its curve, when I see it already, I can start thinking of which rhino is this one. Those 2 rhinos which I see there in front, those are 2 female rhinos. 8, 57, 59, they are all friends. This one on your left is number 88.
Okay.
This one on your right is number 90.
Okay.
That bull, number 43, moves alone. 59 is the calf of 15. This friend is number 52. 52, the calf of JK 22, number 87.
How do you know all of this?
I know, sir. They are my friends, I told you. They are my friends.
One of Tamuka's most important tasks is to check on the welfare of any new calves in the herd.
Far on your left there.
So he needs to take a closer look at this young black rhino calf. Equally endangered, black rhino are the smaller cousins of the white rhino and are notoriously more aggressive than their docile counterparts, making Tamuka's task all the more challenging.
Very much more difficult to get close to them, very much more difficult to monitor them, and they like this thicker brush, which makes it more difficult to see them as well.
So we approach cautiously.
It's coming straight here. Just stay dead still.
On John Hume's rhino farm, Camp Master Tamuka and I are trying to assess the well-being of an aggressive black rhino and her young calf.
It's coming straight here. Just stay dead still. That's the difference between the black and the white. Now you can imagine in an environment like this, as thick as this is, this guy's got to see every rhino every day. That's unbelievable. These black rhinos are very different, eh?
Yeah.
After my close call, Tamuka and I are heading back to the staff quarters when we spot 2 white rhinos mating. Tamuka reports the activity immediately.
Yeah, Missy, I have a meeting here. ID JK 23, cow 30 JK 23, and the bull it's Goliath, RSB 2.
Thank you, Husband.
This is the heart of John Hume's entire operation. So sophisticated is his breeding program that he even funds a nursery where sick or abandoned calves can be rehabilitated before returning to the main population.
Ruby, Aimsley, Harry, Jimmy, Fricky, and Aiden.
Man, when you think of what it takes for a newborn human baby, you've got this tiny little bottle. I mean, when you're dealing with baby rhinos, everything is big. This is the land of big. These rhino babies, they're taking milk by the bucket, man.
Who is this now?
This is Ruby. She's 4 months old, and she's got serious attitude.
Oh, really? So funnily enough, this sheep is even a very important part of the team.
The calf's development is much better with a companion.
When they come in as individuals and they're too small to be mixed with another rhino, they'll just be given a sheep. How many years have you used this particular sheep?
3 years.
Its name is Chop, as in lamb chop.
I also raised her from very little, so
She thinks she's a rhino.
yeah.
Do you think you're a rhino or do you think you're a sheep?
Next we have Jimmy, Harry, and Emsley.
Harry and Emsley. Listen to them. Look at that.
These rhinos may be small, but their appetites are enormous. A good indicator that they'll soon be ready to rejoin the rest of their herd out on the ranch. And like all moms, Claudia will eventually have to say goodbye to her babies.
Claudia, I would imagine it must be tough for you to put these little guys out there and now somebody else looks after them.
Yeah, it's tough, but life goes on. Has to happen.
With my tour complete, I'm amazed at the level of dedication that goes into protecting and propagating this endangered species.
Like every baby, whether it's a human baby, whether it's an animal baby, they're born innocent. They don't realize what the horn on their face means.
But if there is a future for rhino in this world, it's because of people like John Hume. And I haven't forgotten the reason I came here.
Okay.
I'm hoping that Mr. Hume can help me find a solution for Graham Richardson's 19 rhino, who are currently exposed and at risk of being poached.
Grab a seat.
I explained Graham's situation to John, who indeed sympathizes.
To protect 10 or 20 rhinos is a lot more difficult than to protect 1,000. Some people can't afford it.
They start seeing their security costs rise. And
You can't blame the people, you can't blame the farmers. Rhinos are costly animals. It's a terrible situation.
As we talk, John surprises me by coming up with a possible solution for Graham, or at least a way to guarantee the safety of his 19 rhino.
I think you know my life's ambition is to breed 200 a year. To breed 200 rhinos a year, I need 560 cows. Currently, I have 460, and my feeling is, whether I'm supplying protection for 1,300 rhinos or 1,500 rhinos, it's the same cost. So for any extra rhinos I can buy, I will be getting calves from them at no extra security cost.
John's proposal seems simple. Purchase Graham's rhino, transport them across the country, and integrate them into his own herd, where they'll not only be kept safe, but will contribute to the repopulation of the species as a whole.
This is the recipe to save rhinos from extinction. Breed better, protect better.
I leave Mr. Hume to prepare his proposal to Graham. But 2 questions remain. Will Graham accept John's proposal? And if he does, how does someone go about transporting 19 rhino from one property to another, 600 miles away? My name is Ivan Carter, and I've been exploring ways that people are saving rhino from the poaching epidemic that now grips South Africa. With very few options left, rhino owner Graham Richardson has accepted John Hume's proposal to purchase and relocate his entire herd of 19 rhinos. And now I'm returning to Graham's property in the Eastern Cape, this time accompanied by John Hume's capture team.
to move an entire population of rhino, everything's going to have to happen like clockwork. And when you're dealing with an animal this valuable, every single person involved in this move is under incredible pressure.
As the trucks pull in, Graham meets with the head veterinarian, Michelle Otto, who records the history of each of the rhinos she's about to acquire.
First born was March 2013. Calf's name is Rudy. She had a bull calf called Ross. Second born March 2016. That's this latest little calf, and that's called Adios. Adios. There they go.
These are folks with the weight of the world on their shoulders at the moment. The helicopter pilot needs to know exactly what's going on. The vets are making a plan, knowing exactly what's going on. The drivers. There's a lot of logistics. This is a very hilly area. There's a lot of very thick brush and a lot of very steep sides. So it's really important strategically to have these crates up here because this is one of the most open areas on the ranch. What they're going to do is with the helicopter, try and drive the rhinos up into this open area and dart them up here. A lot easier said than done. With the team prepped and in position, the chopper takes to the air. The pilot searches the hills, and it's not long before he spots our first catch of the day. He radios for the ground crew to move in, and drives the animal towards them.
He's gonna get into that big stuff.
So the helicopter's right there with the rhino, pushing her up the hill here. With the rhino on high ground, the chopper lines up a shot with their tranquilizer gun. They've just darted this rhino. The chopper's gone to get the next one, and this rhino should be right here somewhere, just on the edge of the road.
We have to act fast. The immense weight of a rhino's body on its relatively small legs can cause major circulation issues. If we leave these rhino down for too long, there's a chance they won't be able to stand back up.
She's gone down in a great position.
In order to limit the stress placed on the animal, our first step is to dull the senses.
She's going to get an antibiotic injection, just so that the stress of the move doesn't accentuate any wounds that she might have. Any little wound on this rhino at all, he's putting antiseptic in. These are just normal rhino wounds from running through the bush, from doing their thing.
Now it's time to wake her up. She's injected with a reverse drug, which will return her to a partially awake state and allow the team to guide her into one of their waiting crates.
Okay, she's very hot, so let's get her up. Ivan, I need you to push on that shoulder. Okay, sorry.
Come on, girl. Come on, girl.
By the way, this is a bull. That's not a cow. This is Valentino.
Actually, you're right.
This is a bull. Help him on his hip. Help him. Push him, push him, push him, push him.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, he's very awake. Let him just get his bearings.
There we go.
Okay.
First rhino of the day in the crate. A lot different handling one of these giant bulls than it is handling a cow or a youngster.
And when you're dealing with a 2,000-pound drugged-up animal, lethal situations can develop fast.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Stop, stop, stop. Just gonna break the leg. Hold on this leg. Okay, fold this leg and we can roll it over quickly. But don't let it roll more than once. Stay on this side.
We're gonna roll this whole rhino over. Here we go, here we go, here we
Push,
go.
push, over, over.
Push over, push, push. Bring her, bring her.
Yes.
That's it, now stop. Good job, good job, good.
I'm on site with John Hume's capture team, moving 19 white rhinos to the safety of a sanctuary 600 miles away. But capturing animals of this size is incredibly risky for both the rhinos and the humans.
Stay on this side.
We're gonna roll this whole rhino over. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Push, push, over, over.
Push over, push, push. Bring her, bring her.
Yes.
That's it, now stop. Good job, good job, good. You have to stop. You can't stop. I got her, I stopped her.
It's just too big. We had a close call there with the vet on the steep side. The rhino nearly rolled right on top of her. It's pretty dangerous.
With just 2 rhinos in their crates, the chopper hurries to find the next target. But all the commotion seems to have driven the herd deep into the valleys.
We were hoping to catch a bunch of rhinos up on the top area of this property. Right now, the rhinos are in the thick bush, and so we're having to change location. Much steeper sides, much smaller area to catch in, and the time is ticking. We're just moving the rocks to make way for one of these big trucks to get down here. The logistics are certainly not getting easier.
And the next rhino we dart goes down right on the edge of one of these treacherous cliffs.
You have to walk it out. Roger, that big truck will get down here, right? Walk it out here.
This is the kind of terrain we were worried about. This rhino's run down and it's gone to sleep right on the side here. Got to be so careful. You've got a lot of thick brush here. It's very, very steep. And if it rolls down here or if it drags the team through the bush and ends up at the bottom, it could jeopardize this whole operation.
Unable to bring the crates any closer, we have no choice but to get this enormous animal to the top of the hill.
Okay, danger zone is down that cliff. Okay, we're good. Starting. Everyone ready?
Go. Here we go. Okay, front's up. This rhino is semi-conscious. Just got to make sure she doesn't trip. And we're able to lead her out of this thicket and up the mountain.
We managed to get her onto the path and away from the cliff edge. But now comes the long walk uphill.
Go.
Oh, she's coming awake now.
Yeah.
As we struggle with this rhino, the chopper pilot circles overhead, eager to dart the next target. With 16 more animals to crate today, we're burning precious daylight, and the whole team knows it.
Come, go. Almost there. Right. Front feet's up.
Finally, we crest the top of the hill.
It's taken about 45 minutes, but we've walked her about 300 yards out. You know, that 45 minutes is time we really can't spare. We've got a lot of other rhinos to capture, and everything else is going to have to go very, very smoothly for us to finish today.
Over the next few hours, the team makes up for lost time, catching almost all of the remaining rhino. Nine and 10. Number 13 and 14. And 17. Until only 2 are left. But finding 2 rhino on this massive property is easier said than done. Especially when it's a nervous new mother and her tiny newborn calf. With time running out, our rhino capture team has managed to crate 17 of the 19 rhinos on this property. But the last 2, a nervous mother and her newborn calf, are still hiding in the bush. At last, the air team confirms a visual. They move in, attempting to drive the nervous mother and calf into the open. Finally, the rhinos break cover, and with a clear shot, the vet darts the mother. And then a second pass for the baby.
So we're just waiting. The mother's just about to go down.
Head vet Michelle prepares to approach with the ground team. With the well-being of so small a calf at stake, we take our time moving in. It's critical we not put any more stress on this baby than we have to.
The mother's fully asleep now. This baby has got a dart in it, but we're not sure if the dart has gone off or not.
The team hangs back until we see the drug taking effect.
The baby's going. There we go. There we go. We'll put this one on the mother. Shh, 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 shh.
Graham watches anxiously as the very last of his rhino are prepared for transport.
Yeah, it's going to be very different here without them. Ma will miss them. I just hope they will be safe now with John Hume. And as sad as it is, I'm sure it will be for the betterment of the rhino.
Hearing the cries of his beloved rhino, the weight of the moment hits Graham all at once.
I call this one adios to say goodbye. All the best.
Alright, baby. Okay. Okay, go.
This is a big deal. This is the last animal to leave this property. This species no longer will exist on this property as this little baby rolls off here. By virtue of the fact that it's such a tiny baby. It represents hope, and it's going to live to a ripe old age and have children of its own. But it's heartbreaking that this needs to happen. The final crate is locked down. These rhinos are ready to roll for the first time in their lives. They're going to leave footprints in a place where they're completely safe.
The team has been up since dawn, and none of us will sleep until we see our cargo safely delivered. But a 600-mile stretch of road still lies between these rhino and the safety of their new home.
Carter's War would like to thank the following people and organizations. Without their help, this program would not be possible.
After removing 19 rhino from the path of encroaching poachers, we travel under the cover of darkness to see them delivered to their new home, 600 miles away. But the black market value of our cargo is in the millions, and on South Africa's highways, our convoy is exposed. These rhinos will not be safe until we reach the guarded perimeter of John Hume's property.
Well, it's about 2 a.m. These rhinos need to have the drugs topped up every 3 hours, so we stop somewhere where we've got a little bit of light.
Cautiously, I crawl on top of one of the crates to sedate a rhino.
That was a little bit difficult. This animal was very awake, but she's now had another jab. She's going to settle down.
But at the next crate over, Michelle is having trouble.
What happened to your fingers?
One of the crates just slammed on it.
Broke it?
Yeah.
Sleeplessness and rhinos don't mix.
Keep there. That's fine. Yeah, so you can see my blood mark. Wait, my blood hands everywhere.
What's your blood? Did it take the skin right off it?
Yeah, and I took off the entire top. His foot got stuck. I was holding it up for him to get his foot left, and he pulled his foot out before I could pull my hand out. I was a little bit slow. So I kind of guillotined my hand.
Did you hear the finger crack?
Yeah, it went that way.
Oh.
So it bent like that, but in the opposite direction.
Oh. But the rhinos have all been topped up?
The rhino are okay, it's fine. So I've officially had a rhino roll over me today, and I've had a broken finger.
It's been a rough day.
I love rhino.
We continued to haul our precious cargo through the night, the whole team on edge, wary of any sign we're being followed. Until finally, we're greeted by the dawn and a familiar sight.
I can't even tell you how relieved I am to be driving along this fence. This is our destination. We've had 19 hours on the road. We've been awake for nearly 36 hours. Unbelievable what it takes to move these rhinos across this country.
Once inside the fence, John Hume's armed security forces surround our convoy. Intimidating as they may be, They're a welcome sight.
We're going to do the mother and the baby first, of course. They're lowering the crates down. This is the mother in this crate. We'll get all of the people back from these crates, and we'll let these rhinos out. The first gate is out. As they raise that second gate, this mother and baby are going to come into contact. Here comes the mother. And the baby. That little baby squealing.
Look at this. Today, these animals are safe because of the actions of people who care. The vets, the capture teams, the security and rhino specialists, and of course, Mr. John Hume, whose vision and leadership has made this moment possible.
That's what gives us hope.
In spite of our gains, elsewhere in Africa, the rhino continues to slip towards extinction. But with heroes like these, I foresee many more victories ahead. And if we keep up this fight, maybe one day in the future, great herds of rhino will once more roam freely across the continent.